Welcome to the first Sleuth report. Today's report on InterSleuths, we are going to be testing the functionality of salvaging in the Drake Vulture on patch 3.19. By applying our rating system, we will find out just how well it's functioning in this patch. Our rating system consists of 3 different categories. These include the feature as a concept, as well as how well that concept is executed in-game, and finally, how balanced the feature is difficulty-wise. Scores from each of these categories will then be added up to give a total overall score at the end of the report. Before we get started, I want to let everyone know we are doing a giveaway for the month of June. We are giving away a C8X Pisces Invictus starter pack. This starter package comes with access to the game, as well as 120-month insurance, 1,000 Alpha UEC starting credits, and Invictus Blue and Gold paint for the C8X. If you are a new player thinking about getting into Star Citizen, be sure to use my referral code while creating your account and get yourself an additional 5,000 Alpha UEC starting credits in-game. All you have to do to enter the giveaway is be subscribed to the channel, leave a comment on any video during the month of June, and if you don't mind, help spread the word on the Sleuths reports by leaving a like on the video and sharing it with your friends. Now let's mobilize as we sleuth deeper. For Category 1, we are going to be going over the concept of how salvage is supposed to work in-game as it currently stands, as well as the future of salvage. As it stands right now, salvage consists only of hull scraping. You can also take components off of some ships as well using your multi-tool TrueHold tractor beam attachment. Even though this is not directly a part of salvage, I will be considering it under the umbrella of salvage since it does add to the immersion and gameplay of salvage. Let's start with the main feature that's currently in-game, hull scraping. It works much like a pressure washer on the hull of a ship, removing the outside layer from different sections of the ship and giving you RMC, or recycled material composite, in return. This material is currently worth quite a bit, selling at several locations for 7,700 Alpha UEC. At this price, you can make a pretty good living off being a single crew salvager in the Drake Vulture. The idea of taking components and other parts off of ships to then turn around and sell or trade them really adds to the overall immersion that goes along with salvaging. However, it might not be very profitable currently to take components off of ships. Not only do they not sell for a large amount of Alpha UEC, it is also difficult to locate the correct place to sell them, as you must go somewhere that sells the exact same component you have found. I would like to see a form of component scrapping in the future that could yield a different resource that then can be used by the player for other things such as component repair or even crafting. It should also be considered that you can find cargo of all sorts on whatever ship you might find yourself salvaging, which may or may not sell for a good price depending on what you may find. In the future, other parts of the salvaging gameplay will come online. One such feature will be vehicle munching. Vehicle munching consists of breaking parts off of the ship that are then pulled in with a ship tractor beam and fed into a grinding mechanism. I love the idea of being able to fully rid the verse of destroyed ships, not only cleaning up the play space, but also helping the servers to run better. Using a Pyro RYT multi-tool with a Cambio Light SRT attachment and canister, you can strip away small parts of a ship's hull. That RMC you just stored in the canister can then be used to repair minor hull damage on any ship you choose. Much like the Vulture's salvage lasers, you must first make sure the ship's shields are down or you won't get very far. The thought of there having been some large-scale battle somewhere in the verse, and you with your Vulture sitting and waiting for the right moment to make your move on what's been left behind feels great. Maybe a couple of your friends are in their own Vultures and picking at the bones of destroyed ships in the player-made ship graveyard. Entering ships to unlock their components, checking for any signs of life or cargo on board, taking all that's left behind for yourself. To then turn around and sell the RMC you just collected to a Vulcan operator so they can go and breathe new life into a ship using the materials that you just harvested. Once ship repair is brought in game, that is when salvage will truly shine in my eyes. Being able to not only salvage from destroyed ships and vehicles, but then be able to turn around and use that RMC to repair from a ship like the Aegis Vulcan, that will really round out the entire gameplay loop as a whole. It is for all these considerations that we are giving the Drake Vulture Salvage as a concept a solid 7 out of 10. While there is always room for improvement, the concept of salvage as a whole is in a great spot. This then brings us to our second category, execution. Execution can sometimes be a tricky thing with Star Citizen, as it is known for having its fair share of bugs during this alpha stage we are currently in. I expect a lot of different reports that we put out to suffer in this category because of these bugs. It is, however, important to know that while we are judging based on the current patch, things do often get fixed quickly in-game. If there are any huge issues, I would keep up to date on any fixes put out by CIG. Having performed a lot of salvage in-game, I will be outlining what you should watch out for if you choose to take up this profession in patch 3.19. We touched on how satisfying it feels in-game to strip the hull and components off a ship, and to search through the wreckage looking for any signs of life or cargo. What we have not gotten into yet is the frustration that can go along with salvaging. There are several shortcomings with the implementation of this profession in-game. One of these shortcomings is the fact that if you collect RMC with your Vulture and have a friend in your party who has some cargo space to haul that RMC for you, it will be marked as stolen goods once you transfer it into their ship. This means the only place you can then sell the goods to is a no questions asked terminal. This is where criminals and smugglers go to sell illegal goods. However, this does come with reduced selling price. Even more frustrating is if you have a Vulture and a ship capable of hauling any cargo in your own fleet and decide to transfer your own RMC from the Vulture to your other ship, it will also be marked as stolen goods, meaning another trip to a no questions asked terminal and getting reduced value for your hard-earned RMC. Another big issue is if the server 30K is also known as a server crash. Chances are you might lose all the cargo on your Vulture, as well as any credits you put forth for a salvaging contract. Salvage contracts can cost anywhere from 1,000 alpha UEC all the way up to 50,000 alpha UEC for a larger ship wreckage. If you put up the credits for a large ship claim only to have the server 30K halfway through, it can be pretty frustrating. It is even worse if the 30K protection that is supposed to send you and your ship back to a station together fails to do so, leaving your only option being to file an insurance claim for your Vulture, losing any hopes of being able to sell your RMC or other cargo you may have had on board. It is advised to wait a while before logging back in-game after a 30K. This is to give the servers enough time to transfer you and your ship to a station safely. It is said that about 20 minutes should be enough time for this to take place. If your ship does not show up after this time, then chances are 30K protection did not work for you. If you do get lucky and the 30K protection worked, then your only loss was the RMC you did not yet have the chance to collect from the wreckage and the credits you put up for the contract in the first place. But you will be able to at least sell the RMC you were able to collect and recoup some of your loss. I have also had some minor strange things occur with salvage that should be noted. On a couple of occasions, I have had SCU cargo boxes filled with RMC that get spit out of the small refinery in the back of the Vulture, glitch out and be sent out the bottom of the ship. They make this clanky noise as it makes its way through the hull and out into the cold vacuum of space. Making sure you have a helmet on first, you will need to then proceed outside with your multi-tool True Hold tractor beam attachment and retrieve the RMC from outside of your ship. It is a good idea to also assess the damage it left behind while on its way through the hull. This damage can then be repaired with the Multi-Tools Cambio Light SRT attachment and a filled canister to go along with it. Another issue that can cut your salvage run short is if the refinery becomes glitched and unable to spit out any more RMC. I have found that this can occur at random, but what seems to be a surefire way to trigger this issue is attempting to grab an RMC box that is in the process of being sent out of the refinery before it comes to a complete stop in the output grid. It is for all these considerations that we are giving the execution of salvaging with the Drake Vulture a 4 out of 10. There needs to be some improvement on the party play with salvage. With how it is in-game right now, doing any sort of cargo transfer completely ruins the experience. Now on to our third and final category, balance. We won't be spending too much time on balance in our reports. We do, however, want to let you know how balanced it currently is so that you can determine if it is worth your time in-game. Balance is an ever-changing thing with Star Citizen during this alpha stage. This is because constant tweaks and additions can throw off how rewarding something is in-game at any time. That being said, if you can avoid the larger bugs and don't get many 30Ks, salvage is a very rewarding profession. One method I suggest to maximize your profits and fun while salvaging is to not pay for many contracts. There are ways to go about finding salvage without having to pay for it. One method is by finding ships players have wrecked. You can start your search around stations and points of interest. Another good way is by looking for missions that will have wrecked ships. For instance, the Failed Negotiations mission can sometimes be found in the Contract Manager. This mission has the player go to a derelict Aegis Reclaimer to find out what happened to the captain and report on it to complete the mission. This mission costs nothing to accept, so it can be safely taken without fear of a 30k causing you to lose any credits. Once you locate the wreckage, you are then free to strip the hull for all it's worth, with no upfront cost. It is for all these considerations that we are giving the balance of salvage with the Drake Vulture a 5 out of 10. Once solid 30k protection is in place to prevent the loss of credits paid for salvage claims, we can then give it a higher score. This brings the overall score for salvaging in the Drake Vulture to a total of 16 out of 30. The main things holding back salvaging in the Drake Vulture are the lack of 30k protection to prevent losing your hard-earned RMC and credits, as well as a very frustrating group play with RMC being marked as stolen when clearly it was not. After these are corrected, I would expect the score to go up significantly. All the other bugs are manageable, and some of them are even avoidable with the right methods. I believe even though its score has suffered from some of the big glaring problems, I expect those to be corrected soon, as many players love the gameplay around salvaging. And that brings us to the end of the very first Sleuth report for salvaging in the Drake Vulture. Let us know in the comments what features you would like to see reports for in the future. Be sure to join our organization on Star Citizen. A link will be in the description to join the InterSleuths. Thanks for watching to the end. I've been your host Voidlock. I hope you enjoyed our breakdown, and we look forward to sleuthing with you in the future.